Well, everyone, guess what? The Pixel 4a has actually been out for over a year now, so let's go and see how this phone's been holding up since the last year or two. Now, funny enough, I've been personally owning this device for over a year because Google sent it to me at that time, and I can definitely tell you this was one of my favorite devices of last year, and we're getting the Pixel 6 at some point, and I'm a fan of the Pixels. They were kind of rocky with the Pixel 4, but the 4a, in my opinion, like I mentioned, one of my favorite phones of last year, and throughout the year that I've been owning it, it's been a very smooth ride. It's been a very predictable phone, and to be honest, a lot of the shortcomings from a phone like this can be overlooked because of the price tag. It was less than $400 when it first came out, $349, and that is a very cheap price tag to pay for a phone like this. And because of that, the display, the build quality, even the performance in some cases can be overlooked, which is a huge important thing to keep in mind. Now, the display is one of my, most fascinating things ever because it's a 1080p panel, it's an OLED display, and it's a whole bunch display on top of that. You look at Apple with the iPhones, that's $1,000 phone, and they still can't remove the notch on that. So how did Google do it on here, but Apple can't do it on their phones? It makes no sense. I understand Face ID and different things like that, but this phone arguably looks better than the front of many other iPhones that have been coming out. You have USB Type-C on this thing and a headphone jack, which I don't understand why they put that on their cheaper phones, but they take it away on their more expensive ones. That still doesn't make any sense to me. And you have that standard plastic back with that single camera setup, which I've mentioned before is a very good camera on a phone like this. It's a 12.2 megapixel sensor, and although it's a single camera, it's a good camera because of that price tag. Now, if this was a $1,000 phone, it would be a horrible camera for sure, but you have 4K at 30, which is good enough. I doubt more people are going to go up to 4K at 60. If you need something like that, you can always go for the Pixel 5, and you also have an 8 megapixel front-facing camera that can shoot 1080p videos there too. So these are important things to keep in mind. Again, I'm not the type of person to just focus on the camera and just say a phone is make it or break it to the camera sense, but because of this price tag, it makes it more of a feature set than not. And with Pixels, Google does a really good job of their post-processing of their images, and this is without a doubt still a really good feature of this camera, and this is without a doubt still a very good feature of this phone. But the best feature and something that's been holding up the most since this phone came out was the software. This thing on Android, it was released with Android 10, it got Android 11, and I actually did install the beta of Android 12 on it, and I can tell you from first-hand experience, this phone has held up pretty well on Android 12. I wasn't expecting this phone to do as good as it did, but so far, so good. I haven't had any crazy random reboots. I will say the battery life really isn't as great on Android 12 in the beta standpoint, but I've also installed it on my Pixel 5 and I've been getting the same exact thing too, so it's not just a Pixel 4a problem. And again, with the beta, I'm expecting problems. There's been problems all over the place, but the fact that it's still relatively stable, that makes me super happy, not only how Android 12 is going to be in a couple of months, but also with the Pixel 4a and how this budget tier phone is going to be able to handle the most top tier next version of Android that's going to be coming out. That's a very cool thing I love seeing, and if an Android device like the Pixel 4a can handle Android 12 this well, it makes me happy about what the next iteration of the Pixels are going to be able to handle, and what even possibly the Samsungs and all these other phones are going to be able to handle with the next Android version as well. Now, on top of this, one of the most important things about this phone was the performance of it. It had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G chipset, I can't even say it right, Adreno 618 GPU and 6 gigs of RAM, and I was actually surprised when this phone came out with 6 gigs of RAM at that time. I was not expecting this phone to have it. I thought it was going to have 4, but 6, that's awesome. The Pixel 5 had more, but this is a very cool thing, and ultimately the performance of this thing was more of a pro than not. I love the 4a. I've used the Pixel 4a in a lot of different tutorials I've made on this channel and even on my second channel, and even in tons of comparisons I've done on this channel with the 4a. I think I compared it to the S21s, I think I compared it to the OnePlus 9s as well, and this phone was a very good performing phone without a doubt. I didn't think it was going to be as good because, it was the watered down, chipset, to be honest, but it did a really good job, and in some cases it was beating some other phones in some aspects. So I think ultimately the Google Pixel 4a is a solid phone for sure, and I'm a huge fan of it. Again, is it perfect? Absolutely not. But the biggest takeaway I've taken from the Pixel 4a from the last year of owning it is that because this phone is at such a competitive price tag, it really makes a lot of things, you can overlook a lot of its shortcomings. You can overlook the way it feels and how plasticky it feels because of that price tag. You can get over that single camera setup and maybe lack of 4K at 60 because of that price tag. And if this phone is a little bit of a slower device here and there, again, the price tag is that thing where you keep looking at and you're like, well, I didn't pay $1,000 for it, so I shouldn't expect it to be $1,000 level phone of performance. Versus something like a OnePlus 9 Pro, if you're spending that much money on it, you should be expecting to get the best type of everything from it. And to be honest, I'm more happy about my Pixel 4a than I was when I had my OnePlus 9 Pro, and some other phones out there too for sure. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.